Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the pre-registration webinar for the Electric Mobility Challenge. This session is being recorded, and I'll wait just a minute or so to make sure everyone has joined and is able to participate okay. All right. Well, thank you for joining today's webinar for the Electric Mobility Challenge. This is Christabel Villena. I am the Program Officer with CARET. We are the agency that is supporting NYSERDA and the New York Clean Transportation Prizes. We also power the website and the online proposal platform you all are using to participate in the Electric Mobility Challenge. Again, this webinar is being recorded and will be available next week on the resources and news and updates pages of the electricmobilitychallenge.org website. We will also email the recording to all our registrants. Today, we have reserved the majority of our time for your questions. In just a moment, NYSERDA will further welcome you and provide an overview of the Electric Mobility Challenge. I'll then do a quick walkthrough of the challenge website with my colleague Taylor Rowell. Then Len Van Deventer from CARET will also help open it up for questions. As your questions come up, please type them into the questions tab, and we'll answer as many as we can within our allotted time. Before we move on, some very important dates to keep in mind. The deadline to register for Electric Mobility Challenge is Thursday, July 22nd at 3 p.m. Eastern. Please note that you must create an account and complete the online registration form in order to submit a proposal by this date. We have a pre-submission webinar scheduled for Wednesday, August 4th at 3 p.m. Eastern. The sign-up link will be shared shortly after the registration deadline with all who have registered for Electric Mobility Challenge. And of course, if you have questions after today's session, you can always reach out to us at questions@electricmobilitychallenge.org. Now, I'm very pleased to virtually turn things over to Robin Marquis, NYSERDA's Program Lead for the New York Clean Transportation Prizes.
Thanks, Christabel, and welcome everyone. I'm just going to give a brief overview of the program as a whole and our objectives and a bit of a description of each of the prize competitions with a little more explanation of the Electric Mobility Challenge in particular, which we're discussing today. So the New York Clean Transportation Prizes are led by NYSERDA, the New York State Energy Research and Development Authority, in partnership with the New York State Department of Public Service and the Department of Environmental Conservation. Through this program, we're supporting electrifying transportation, reducing air pollution, and enhancing clean mobility in underserved communities across New York State. Through these prizes, we're providing teams of global experts with the opportunity to directly engage with these communities to improve and scale clean transportation options locally, across New York State, and beyond. So the program as a whole is 3 prize competitions. The first is the Clean Neighborhoods Challenge, which will award innovative projects that address local air pollution reduction at scale. The second, which we're discussing today, is the Electric Mobility Challenge, to award projects that demonstrate innovative, safe, and convenient electric mobility options that meet communities' needs. So these could be enabling access to jobs, educational opportunities, basic services, and other needs as defined by those impacted communities. And the third, which there's a webinar for tomorrow, is the Electric Truck and Bus Challenge, to award projects that demonstrate electrified solutions to the deployment of medium and heavy-duty electric vehicles or their replacement through other electrified modes. So I also want to just give a bit of an overview of what we're looking for in particular for the Electric Mobility Challenge. So we have highlighted some of this through the rubric that we have on the website. And through the traits, you can get a sense for what would be a strong team and a strong project for this particular challenge. So we are looking for strong, impactful solutions that have a really bold, game-changing vision, providing these communities with these needed transportation options for the needs that I mentioned previously. And it's something that's going to both address their more immediate near-term needs and continue to deliver that impact over the longer term as well. We're looking for solutions that are community aligned. So looking for teams that have engaged with the community that they're proposing to implement their solution in. Ideally, they have existing partnerships or can lay out their plans for how to secure them and to implement ongoing engagement through the life cycle of the project and beyond. We're looking for solutions that are feasible. Is there a plan? Are there resources? Is there community buy-in? Does the team have the experience and capacity to execute a $7 million award, which is the grand prize increment for the Electric Mobility Challenge? And we're looking for solutions that are repeatable or replicable, scalable. Is this something that could be done again? Is this something that could grow beyond the initial implementation that we fund through the prize challenge? So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to the Carrot team, who will cover more of the platform.
Thanks so much, Robin. And thanks again to everyone who's joining us today. The Electric Mobility Challenge will award up to $21 million to long-term electric mobility options that improve the quality of life in New York State's disadvantaged communities. The first step to determine whether or not you're a good fit for this opportunity is the Organizational Readiness Tool, which you can access from the main drop-down menu. The tool walks you through a number of questions to determine eligibility for this challenge. And if you answer yes to each question in the Organizational Readiness Tool, we encourage you to complete the registration process. Registration is required in order for you to be able to submit a proposal, and it's very simple. You'll go to the upper right-hand corner of any page on the website and click on the button that counts down the number of days to register. You will then be instructed to create and confirm your account, and after, you will be prompted to submit basic information about your organization so that we can better understand our registrant community. Please note that you will not receive email confirmation of your registration. If you are able to access the online proposal and forums on the platform, then you have registered properly for the challenge. You'll have access to forums where you can ask questions and engage with other participants. All of our challenges are rooted in the values of openness, transparency, and fairness. We want to be sure that everyone who participates in this opportunity knows exactly what we expect from them, as well as when and how they're going to be scored. This website is built as an instructional guide to understand that process. To help really understand what this challenge is looking for, please review the Electric Mobility Challenge proposal process. The proposal has several sections, and the full text is available for any visitor to this site to see all the questions, prompts, requirements, and word count limits. You're strongly encouraged to read through every section so that you have a good grasp of what is required in order to submit a competitive proposal. Under proposal process, you are also strongly encouraged to visit resources. Here you have access to webinars, data, reports, and eventually a directory of local community partners that are serving disadvantaged communities in New York State. This directory will be available at the end of the month. And if you're joining us as a New York State community-based organization today, please complete the interest form that's listed here on resources so that you can be included in this community partner directory. So once you've reviewed the proposal process, you should have a very strong sense of what you'll need to do to apply. Typically, the next question we get is, how will proposals be evaluated? That takes us to the scoring rubric. As Robin mentioned, this website provides the very traits that will be used to score each proposal. There are prompts that detail what each of the 4 traits mean in this context, and each trait will be given a score between 0 and 5. You can toggle back and forth between the scoring ranges for any given trait, and a scoring range definition will appear to provide further detail on what a low versus a high score means for Electric Mobility Challenge. And this scoring rubric defines what makes a strong proposal. We find that many of our participants who will examine these scoring range definitions and then reverse engineer the process and write to the higher end of the rubric. We encourage you to do that. The rubric is also the same tool that scoring committee judges will be using as they score their assigned proposals. So this brings us to the actual scoring process, which you can find by clicking Evaluation from the menu. So once we hit the submission deadline, will validate submissions, and all eligible submissions will move into scoring committee review. The scoring committee judges will use the scoring rubric to provide scores on their assigned submissions, and will also provide feedback and comments to justify each score. They'll also provide an overall impression of each proposal. We often find that this feedback is one of the most important aspects of participating in one of our challenges, and that even if you're not awarded a grant, you walk away with valuable feedback that you can then use to refine your solutions and perhaps seek other funding or expanded support. So now that we know what you need to do to apply and how the proposals will be evaluated, we arrive to another common question, which is, how do we ensure that the evaluation process is fair? To address this question, we have a web page dedicated specifically to explaining how we normalize scores. Every valid proposal will be scored by 5 members of our scoring committee. So this means that not every judge will look at every proposal. To help address this and make sure that proposals or applicants are not disadvantaged in any way, if, for example, you're assigned to a harder grader versus someone that might be a little bit more lenient in their scoring, we rescale the scores and normalize all of them. So here on this page, you can read more details about how this works. Two other features on this website I'd like to point out. First, let's quickly visit the rules page. Here you can read about the legal stipulations on the teams that are governing your participation. You can find the eligibility criteria and learn more about the detailed terms and conditions required of all our participating teams. This is a global competition open to any nonprofit, Indian nation, business, or company from anywhere in the world. Please note that individuals, government agencies, universities, and colleges are not eligible to participate as a principal organization and submit a proposal as a lead, but they could be part of a proposing team. The only entities that are not eligible to be a principal organization nor members of a proposing team are lobbying organizations and utilities. Please review the rules in detail for more information about requirements. We also have a timeline page that details each phase of the challenge. We start with the registration and assessment. A reminder that registration is required and must be completed by Thursday, July 22nd at 3 p.m. Eastern Time in order for you to be able to submit a proposal and access the online platform. The proposal deadline is Wednesday, August 25th at 3 p.m. Eastern. And then the timeline goes on to list all other key dates related to this challenge. Our website also includes other helpful areas like news and updates and FAQs. We encourage you to read over all of it. Lots of helpful information and resources available to those that are interested in applying. And now let's move on to the Q&A portion of the webinar. Please continue to add your questions to the Q&A tab, and we'll get to as many as possible today. And to ensure fairness for everyone, we are not able to provide guidance that is specific to your proposed solution. So we encourage you to take the organizational readiness tool to assess your fit and review the pages of the website to help determine if you are a strong fit for the Electric Mobility Challenge. All right, we have Lynn to get us started.
Thank you, Christabel. Could you please give me a bit more clarity on the differences between the Clean Neighborhoods Challenge and the Electric Mobility Challenge?
Thanks, Lynn. So the Electric Mobility Challenge is focused on personal mobility solutions. So proposals cannot include freight or goods movement services as specified in the rules. The emphasis is on the provision of new or expanded electric mobility options that address the community's needs, such as access to jobs and other essentials. Through the Clean Neighborhoods Challenge, we're more broadly focused on reducing transportation-related air pollution. And as such, the solutions can include personal travel and goods movements. In both cases, proposers are encouraged to consider supporting infrastructure, regulations, policies, and other aspects of their solution that could lead to the continuation of transportation electrification.
Great. Next question. Can the project proposal include locations that are outside the boundaries of the disadvantaged areas?
So funding for the Electric Mobility Challenge must be used to reduce air pollution and improve quality of life in at least one disadvantaged community in New York State. The solution may also impact other locations, and there is not a requirement for the equipment itself to be deployed only in disadvantaged communities, but funding from this prize must be used for efforts focused on those disadvantaged communities. The proposals can consist of solutions focused on a narrow local geography or broader geographic area and may serve a large segment of a community or a smaller subset. Proposed solutions can address this provision of electric mobility options through physical investments, policy action, other means, but must demonstrate those results in the communities within a 3-year grant period. So when we mentioned the equipment doesn't need to be directly deployed within the boundaries of these designated communities. That could be for different trip purposes, such as commuting, as we noted, for the essential needs that can be addressed through these options. If the trip purpose or origin or destination would take members of these communities outside of those boundaries, then the equipment can be deployed outside of a designated community, so long as the solution is being implemented to benefit at least one disadvantaged community in New York State.
Great. Are you seeking projects that operationalize or implement technologies that can be replicated at scale?
I can take this one. Yes, we are seeking projects that can be operationalized and or implement technologies that can be replicated at scale. Scalability is a key component of each of these competitions for the New York Clean Transportation Prizes.
Great. Next question. Do all partners need to be selected by July 22nd? Or are new partners able to be incorporated if selected once you advance into the planning, once an application might advance into the planning stage?
So I'll start on this one, and then Christabel, if you want to jump in. So no, the partners don't need to be all selected by July 22nd, which is the registration deadline, or even by August 25th, the proposal deadline. So we do have questions in the proposal that are speaking to the team that will be used to execute this, necessary partners, and it is, as we noted in the rubric, part of the feasibility and other aspects of the scoring in terms of expertise and capability and necessary community buy-in. So there is room in the proposal to speak to if there are some additional partners that would be needed to execute this, plans for securing their participation, but we are not requiring for phase 1 proposals that there are letters of commitment secured.
That's right, Robin. And then July 22nd is the registration date. So you do have until August 25th to secure any partners that you would like to include at this phase of the competition.
Great. How will you evaluate proposals that cross the boundaries of the 3 challenges that include aspects of all 3 challenges in the proposal?
So there is a question in the proposal form in all 3 of them that is specifically looking at the potential impact for multiple awards. So there we've asked if you are applying to 2 or more, so 2 or 3 of the individual challenges, that you describe there any additional outcomes, cost savings, or other value that would come from receiving more than 1 award. That said, each individual proposal should stand alone. So it should not be contingent on winning one or the other or aspects that would be implemented in a different program area. But under that particular question is where a proposer could speak to how they would implement if awarded more than 1 and the additional value that would be driven by getting more than 1 award.
That is all of the questions in the questions box at the moment. So if you have any others, please be sure to type them in. And of course, if you think of something after the webinar, please email us at questions@electricmobilitychallenge.org.
Thank you, Lynn. I'll see if we do get any more questions. I can share some reminders in the meantime. So again, if you haven't done so already, please complete the organizational readiness tool. And if you find you are a strong fit, please create your account and register no later than Thursday, July 22nd at 3 p.m. Eastern. And this will allow you access to the online platform so you can submit a proposal online. And on the resources page of every challenge website is information about webinars for each of those challenges. So we'll continue to post information there as well in the news and update sections. So the recording of this webinar will be made available by email, news and updates and resources on the website, as well as when you log in, the forums will also have links to the recordings of these webinars. Are there any more questions? All right. Well, thanks again so much, everyone, for joining us. We look forward to learning more about your efforts to transform access to electric mobility options, and we're very excited to work together to build a cleaner and healthier state of New York. Thanks so much. Have a good rest of your day.